Hey Scott, you the fire chief? Well, there's Steve right there.
Yep.
Speak of the devil. How you doing, Steve?
What do you do? How does that go?
So I don't think I ever caught your name. What's your name? No, in our troop it was just kind of a big thing we do because one of the big things is
Insulting. See, I'm one.
our troop tradition. The reason we do the left hand shake is because when in old times when there were weapons and stuff, I do not have an Indian name, unfortunately. But what they would do is they would set down their shield, which they usually most would carry in their left hand to lower their defense in a welcoming manner to shake left hand with another person. But you know, I suppose it's comfortable, so it's not.
My chief Henry himself, Chief Henry was take it out back from the wire eyes when he said, I met Chief Henry last year. This is my Indian. Oh, what Chief means I am Linden's. Now your name also means oh, what Chief.
Oh, what Chief.
Oh, what Chief. Hello, my name is Williams.
It's kind of an interesting thing to remember. Today, and then Owachi Yayula. So, Yatehe, Owachi, what was the last part?
This is really nice. I'm old, I can't read this kind of stuff. I do have glasses.
Well, that's kind of an interesting thing.
Washi, isn't it?
Yeah, Washi. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting because there's this thing in scouting.
Fortunately, some of this
It's a
stuff you
kind of an
provide.
organization a sub-organization in scouting called the Order of the Arrow. And I've been hoping to get elected into it, but your peers pretty much elect you into it.
Joe, want to call it on? Scott, one. Let's do one more. Scott, take one.
Okay.
Don't tell me about it after you spent the day golfing yesterday. I don't care what you say. Easy, you got time to golf, you can't figure it out. Hey,
Your last one on here,
Actually, this is
mayor, you told us.
I'm right.
take a hike out there.
Okay. No, I didn't. I said myself.
Yep, that's great, that's perfect, thanks.
You're doing the flag.
Am I?
Huh?
Yeah, pledge.
You?
Oh, you're here to see the flag?
Yes.
Sorry, they didn't. What was your name? Okay. Cut you, just come up here to the microphone or in front, I'll stand there. Okay, thank you. Trista, do we have any? No, certificates. For captain. You want to get his name?
Yes. I've got here for my communications. I wrote that into one of my It's your pen.
Okay. Where did Dave go?
the certificate.
Oh, okay, we'll give him a second then. Because I don't see Janine, she's not here either, is she?
I can handle that.
You're gonna handle it?
I can, yes. Well, she's, I think she's on the way.
Okay.
But I'm ready to handle it.
Okay, well, we'll go down to that point and we'll. Let's get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We're running about almost 10 minutes late, but first thing we'll start out with was a prayer given by Joanne. And then after that, we have our scout, Jeremiah, is it Rushton?
Yes.
Rushton. And we'll have him lead us in the pledge. We'll go to that point.
Father, we are grateful that we live in a free country, that we're able to exercise our right to vote, and to be able to lead ourselves in the best way that we see fit. We're grateful especially for this community that we live in, and the opportunities we have to be with each other and support each other. We're grateful for the rain we've had of late and ask thy blessing for more as we go into the fall. And we ask thy spirit to be with us tonight, we might make good decisions and that we might have a positive spirit about us. We say this in Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Will the audience please rise and make the appropriate hand salute? Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Again, we appreciate our scouts for coming in and offering to do that. Hang on for just a few because we'll have a deal when we get further down. First thing on the agenda is the consent agenda, the approval of the July 15th and the July 29th minutes. Do we have any discussion or a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda that consists of approval of the 2015 meeting and the July 29th, 2015 meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the public forum. We ask anybody who'd like to come up to the public forum. As long as it hasn't got to do anything to do with the other, we'll give you your 3 minutes worth of fame. State your name.
My name's Richard Steele. I've been a resident of Payson since 1974. I'm here today to say that I'm running for mayor in 2016. Payson's got a lot of problems that are being overlooked, and I know just where to look for them. I've got the support of a bunch of people. And also, my daughter's here today. We're trying to make a police report. We're getting harassed from all sides. Our house has been robbed. We're getting death threats, all kind of stuff, and she wants to make a police report. My daughter has her report in her hand right there. If you just let the officer take that, then I wouldn't need to send in this one. And pretty much all I have to say right now.
Okay.
Other than I think you're doing a great job, Rick. I'll chip for you in the parade again. I used to
All right.
chip for Orrin Hatch. I know Orrin Hatch personally from Payson's parade. I did the same thing for Jason Chaffetz. That's how I met Jason Chaffetz. I didn't know both of them had offices over there at Provo. But anyway, thanks and I'll be glad to cheer for you again this
Okay.
year, Rick.
Sounds good, thanks. Okay, do we have anybody else?
Brian Hewlett, I know that Kim and Jolynn and Larry have 5 more months, but I'd just like to personally thank you for your service to Payson City. You've done a great job, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, anybody else? I know I had to look at you, because you always come up.
Give me my opportunity to speak. Brett Huff, Payson City resident. I'd like to thank the council as well, Jolynn, Kim, Larry. You've done an amazing job, and it's a thankless job, obviously. You know, you have to make some hard decisions, and sometimes, I guess there's not a lot of understanding going on. But I want to say thanks for everything you've done, the council, mayor, you do a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Linda Carter. I also want to thank you guys so much. I know how much work you've put in, and I really appreciate the job that you've done. So, thanks Kim, Jolynn, Larry, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and we will go into our council and staff reports. Do we have any staff?
Mayor, City Council, residents. Just a couple things that the police department's been doing the last 2 weeks. Our arrests for the last 2 weeks is 79 arrests, 151 offenses, 229 citations, 315 violations, 1,194 calls for service, 1 DUI, 200 traffic stops, 34 traffic accidents in the last 2 weeks. This brings our total calls up for, as of this year, to 9,200 calls so far this year.
So Brad, is that more or less about the same, or, I mean?
Last year we finished at about 13,000 calls. This year we'll probably come close to 17,000, 16,000.
Right, of course, we also had an extra 750,000 people come through town-ish.
This is just general calls. That wouldn't be for.
Oh, that's not, okay.
No, that would just be general calls. We'd only create 1 incident a day for the temple, as far as traffic control, stuff like
Oh,
that. So that would only add up another 40 or 50 to that. So, just to let council know, we've had some door-to-door sales. People in town have been getting quite aggressive. We've been working with Tristan Business Licensing, and we're getting to the point where we may have to revoke their license if the train continues over the next day or two. This one.
Are they licensed?
They are licensed,
Glad to see
but
them.
they're being quite aggressive in there. And I'm sure you're aware of some of them probably have come to your homes.
I'm not, what are they selling?
They're on 60 right now.
Most of them are selling cleaning products, and they come through, I don't know where they come from. Where are they out of? All over, out of Florida, Michigan.
The business was based, or had 2 addresses, one in Pennsylvania and one in San Diego. So, when they say all over, that's pretty close.
Yeah, they travel every year during the summer.
Take them state to state.
Yeah, they come state to state. So our city code basically allows us to revoke their license if they're causing fear or aggressive tactics and a few other, fear for people's safety, being a public nuisance. So just in case you get any phone calls, that's what it is, and we're aware of it and dealing with it. A couple of things, I've been dealing with a few businesses in town with parking issues, and I think we've, by Friday, we'll have those all cleared up also with some of the off-street, off-premise business parking, so. Do you have any questions for me?
Doing a good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Lots of people probably found it. lots of good positive comments.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I first want to start off and talk about salmon supper just a little bit. When I very first took this job on a couple of years ago, that's why I continued on, is just the incredible support from you guys, the town, the parks crew, all of Payson City. It's so huge, and that's why I wanted to do it again, is because I had so much support. And then this year, with personal things that happened to my family, this whole town jumped in, all of Payson City, all of you guys, and were 100% behind me and supported me. And I just want to thank you. It just meant so much to me. It's a crazy thing that this town puts on, and I just want to say thank you for being with me as a friend and also as an employee. And especially thanks to the volunteers. I know we had a lot of people volunteer that are here. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Before you go on,
Yes.
do you have final numbers?
I know we're over 5,000 this year. So I don't have the money count yet, but ticket purchases were over 5,000 this year. Yeah, it's just right over that, but it's over, so I'm gonna say it's over. So that's awesome. Yep, that's great. The reason I've, Mark, what is it called again? The proposed, what is?
The resolution.
Resolution, okay.
It's gonna be on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't talk about that
Oh, you don't
yet.
do
So
that
I
right
shouldn't
now.
get here for that yet.
No,
Yeah.
and I'll put you up front.
Okay, so I'm good.
Yeah, you just gotta
do I
go
sit
suffer
what?
through it.
No, you're.
Oh, I sit down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be professional, it just is not working.
You know what, you're all right. And you do a great job.
Mayor and council, just to report, we had Salem Days Golf Tournament Friday during the Salmon Supper. We had 130 players from Salem. We also loaned them some golf carts for their celebration. They wanted me to tell you guys thanks a lot for that. That helped them a lot. We have the Onion Days Festival this Saturday. We do that before Onion Days because that weekend's so busy for us. We don't want to tie it up with the state tournament, so we do it a week or two before, and that's filling up. The main reason I want to talk to you tonight is I guess we've heard some complaints about a little bit about watering, and it's come before a storm. So a perfect example was last Friday during the Salmon Supper. There was a big storm, a can't-miss storm that was going to drop an inch of water, and everyone was panicking when we had that tournament. And so we can't not water because of what the weatherman says. We will not water if the storm comes the next day. We have weather stations that do everything for us, that tell us the exact amount of precipitation that, our irrigation system state of the art. So I just wanted to relay that to you. If people come to you and say, why are they watering if a storm's coming in? And Jolene's a grass expert, so to speak, but if we lose a day, especially where we're rationed on water, it takes us 2 or 3 weeks to catch up if we get a 100-degree day. So if you'll just let the citizens know if they ask you.
Where was that, at the golf course or something?
It was at the golf course and at the cemetery. The cemetery's Friday we water, and there was a big storm coming in. It was a little misty in the morning. But again, if I went off the weatherman, or women, yeah.
You can't do that, Tracy, because sometimes it'll say, a 10% chance and we get a deluge, and then the next time it says 80% chance and it rains other places, but not here.
Exactly. A lot of the storms have missed us and stuff. So I just wanted to kind of let you know, because there have been people, but I think Mark's done a great job of trying to keep everything. He's done a really good job in the park with all the traffic, and we've been lucky. We've gotten some storms and the cooler temperatures, but I just want to finish out this year. Hopefully we get a good snowpack, but just wanted to let you know if people ask. That's after the storm. We'll take all the complaints. If we get the precipitation, then we will shut it down for X amount of days, but before a storm, we have to stay on schedule. Thank you.
Carl, are you over the ballparks?
Yeah.
I noticed the ones down on the other end of town last Sunday were on.
Okay.
Double check.
After the storm,
I thought they could water.
supposed to be on.
Sunday's the water
They
day.
can water, Sunday's a water day.
Sundays, I thought Sunday was a recharge.
Thursday.
Oh, that's Thursday, okay, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Confused.
Yeah,
It's easy to get confused.
go ahead.
But we should have changed it, so we could have been mixed up a little more.
We should have.
Changed again.
Mayor and council, I just wanted to report on a couple things. I know Councilman Hardy had sent an email last week about the weeds out in front of the Chamber of Commerce sign on the interstate. That is private property, so Kent was gonna try to reach out to them and see if they could take care of it, so.
Isn't it the railroad or is it not the road? It's the church's property.
Yeah, it is. So he was gonna try to contact them and see if they could take care of it,
Yeah, they will.
but it,
And I'd already relayed that information to the chamber. I told them I didn't think that was.
so I just wanna report back to you that.
And being around the weeds, look at the corner at the Wagon Wheel Park, there's some Chinese elms and stuff. I know we've agreed to let the grass dry, but we still need to take care of the pesky weeds and, so it's right there right on the corner by Wells Fargo.
Okay.
You got some 2 and 3 foot Chinese elms growing in the planter boxes.
Okay.
I just was thinking to have it cleaned up for Labor Day.
I think most of you are aware the pump got installed at the well at the golf course. It is working. There's still a few parts we're trying to add on to it. And then, of course, we'll still have to build the building around it this winter. So it's not completely done, but it is up and working. The reservoir study's done. I emailed all of you. It is available if you do want to read it. It's about 202 pages long. So I have read it, but I really don't want to summarize it for you.
I'll just wait till Kim reads it.
Yeah.
We'll get a summary.
I didn't say he has read it, I knew he read it.
But our consultant will be here on September 2nd to present it, so they will kind of go over some of the highlights and that. So if you guys do have questions, they will be here on that meeting, so. And then just on what Kent's crew's been doing, they've been fixing that sidewalk we've had multiple complaints on Main Street. It should be done towards the end of this week, first of next week, so.
Are we doing the one across the street too?
Now, which one
To
was
the
this?
east,
Yeah, on the corner?
It's about 500 south.
Okay, that's
between
what.
56
Right
south,
in
both
there.
sides of the road.
So there, it's the worst areas. We're not obviously tearing everything out as much as we'd like to sometimes, but it's just those worst areas, you know, that the sidewalk was totally falling apart or was a trip hazard, so.
I knew there were a couple of other spots, so.
So we're trying to address as many as we can, but obviously there's a lot of areas of the town, so, but that's about all I have unless you have any questions.
No? Get them sidewalks looking good so Scott can snow plow 'em.
All right.
Spencer, you meant, right?
Mayor and council and public, I just wanted to report we started a lot of fall programs now. Just last week, we started our fall gymnastics program at Petite. Our dance and our cheer programs have started as well. And youth tackle football. Youth soccer will be starting games in about 2 weeks. And last Monday morning, we had 267 registered, and today we have about 550 registered. So just in the last week, we took in about 300 registrations. We've changed our parameters a little bit of what we need to do to get games going. So, also today we had a meeting with the school district and went over the interlocal use agreement and discussed the changes there and our needs and how we use their facilities and how they use ours. And I think overall that went well.
What were the changes?
I guess one main change is in football, they're not allowing a 5th and 6th grade games to take place on their football field anymore. That was probably one change that will affect us now. So we discussed that, and we'll look at options of places to play, what we can do with that. Other than that, Dave, do you remember anything else? I think everything was kind of straightforward, and they were happy with the uses of our facilities, and we're happy with the uses of their
The
facilities.
changes were more updates than desired changes.
Yeah, the agreement is firm, and then the exhibits, we discussed actual uses and what they were, and kind of got into some detail with that. Okay, thank you.
letting me in. So I am going to present our numbers from last night. We had our primary elections last night. We had a pretty good turnout. I'm not exactly sure the amount of voters we have because everything's filled. So once I get, figure everything out with that. But we had a pretty good turnout. If you divide 2541 divided by 3, because most people voted for 3, some didn't, then that's about 800. But this is our results, and we had a lot of great citizens that volunteered, and I couldn't have done it without them. So you guys have some wonderful citizens in your city. Any questions?
What percentage was that, did you figure?
It's probably around 10%.
About 10.
Which is good for a primary, because that's,
That's how I figured it was better, but.
yeah, it's pretty good turnout for a primary.
Okay.
One of the things we're gonna have to do is, we have to canvass the voters, you know.
Right.
We can't do that before 7 days, and we can't do it later than 14 days. But because we have like an overseas ballot that hasn't come back yet, we can't do it until the 14 days. So we're gonna have to set up a special council meeting, probably the 25th or so, and canvass the votes. It's just what we have to do. If we had that overseas ballot in, we could do it on our next council meeting. And if we get it back, we'll do it on our next council meeting. But if we
I
don't
thought we had one on the 24th.
What?
I thought we had one on the 24th.
We could do it that day too.
Oh,
If that's the 14 days, that 14 days, Sarah, we're gonna have to look at what that 14 day.
Well, it was on the 11th, so
That would be within the thing, and I know on the 24th, aren't we have.
We were gonna do a work session, yeah.
It has to be within.
Within the 14 days.
So
we have to wait 14 days for that.
Or wait
overseas
14
ballot.
days?
Yeah, I can't, we have to wait for that overseas ballot. If I do get it, then we can do between 7 and 14. But if I don't get it, we have to wait 14 days.
Even though it won't make a difference?
Right? State law, so.
When is that work session starting?
Well, they're supposed to come.
No, I mean, you can see some of our youngest firefighters, that gentleman in the back of the pack, he's one of our newer ones we've had on, so. Back row over there. Also, I'll let you know, we did do our safety luncheon today. Went really well. We moved up to Memorial Park just to get outside where it's a nice summer event and to also have it in conjunction with our seasonal people. They had some good training provided by the electrical department. They brought their trailer to show some of the effects of electricity with low voltage, high voltage, to give people a little better idea. So it's nice to have some training like that and have a lunch and that. So things went really well. So appreciate your support. Thanks.
Thanks.
Just one thing, Mayor, Council, I sent out an email on this, but we did make a short list on a business through EDC Utah, Project Oasis. They're going to do a site visit on Friday the 21st, a week from this Friday. They have a lot of information they want, so we'll have our superintendents and those over the utilities, and they want it, so that's the 21st of August.
Okay. Anybody else? Larry?
I'd just like to say first, thanks to those who offered those kind words, really appreciate that. I think the salmon supper really did go well. With that kind of a number, I'm sure it's the biggest ever. And I think that's great. I think it's great to see everybody out there and participating, and I thought it went well.
Mike?
Fortunately, I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't make it to the salmon supper, and I didn't want to cough on people's food and get them sick. So, but I have heard a lot of good things about the salmon supper, and appreciate all the work that you put in on it, Janine. Chambers had their movie Under the Stars. They had their second one in July. They'll have their final one here in August. I believe it's not this weekend, but next weekend that they're going to have that. And just as a side note, they did a lot of help, worked with Santaquin as part of the merged group, and helped them with their orchard days. And we got a lot of good PR from our Santaquin people
as far as the willingness of some of the Payson people to go over and help them on Orchard Days. I think this merger is a good thing, and I think we're gonna see a lot of good from in the long run. So, that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, Joanne.
Yeah, I just want to jump on the salmon supper wagon, Janine. It was great. It turned out great. And I've said this before about salmon supper, but you know, sometimes we're like, oh, Spanish Fork has this, or Springle has this, or whatever, you know, compare ourselves. I'm going to tell you, nobody in the state has a salmon supper. Nobody.
Well, it's crazy.
And no one is crazy enough. That's exactly right. You know, Kenny at Cisco, Kenny Peterson, we don't work with him anymore, but we used to. Anyway, because I think he moved up or something, and so he's not our rep. But he used to be. And he told me years ago, because we were talking about ordering something, and I said something about, well, I don't want your vendors to have to, you know, put somebody else off, or whatever. I don't know, something like that. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, are you kidding me? My vendors will put off anything and everything for salmon supper. It is the biggest one-night event in the state. And the Cisco guy knows, because they do every event in the state. So anyway, good job, it was great.
Okay, Kim?
Yeah, I guess it's salmon supper night. I have a couple of comments. First of all, while I was working in the booth and serving fish and such, a woman came, didn't give me her name, she's from Riverton. It was the first time she had been there, and she stuck her head in the booth there, and she said, I want you to go back and personally thank every single person involved with this. She said, it is the greatest event I've ever attended. And you know, I told her I would, so I thought I ought to, so do that. Now, I have one other observation. Jolene and I were on the later shift of serving salmon, and there was a point where we were directed to cut down on the sizes of the portions. Up until that time, I hadn't received a single comment on how much it cost. As soon as we went from thirds of a fillet to fourths, people started saying, whoa, and as I thought about that, I have come to the conclusion that should the day ever come that we run out of fish, people are going to be more understanding of running out than of seeing us limit portions. And for some reason, we have got a name for that, and I think we have to maintain it. So, just that, Janine. If we think we don't have, we had plenty. Yeah.
I went into panic mode.
But for some reason, we were told, oh, we're not going to make it, and we tried to, we cut one or two of them down, but people noticed instantly.
We didn't obey very well.
We didn't obey really well. Anyway, it was really great, and the people that came through were just so appreciative, and they liked it so much. Sorry, I've just got one last thing. Leon and I went to, we bought fish and chips in American Fork, and when they brought them out, I told the owner of the establishment, I said, no, we know how to cook fish. And I told him about it, and he's determined to come down next year. He couldn't believe that we could serve 5,000 people in one night. So anyway, it was a great thing, and just want to thank everyone for it.
Okay, Scott?
I just probably to expand a little bit on the salmon supper, I was talking with Dave earlier, maybe we look at instead of, we've done so well last year running people through, maybe you end up going with block, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and maybe that eliminates the hour wait.
That might be.
It's a thought.
Well, we talked about
You got,
doing something electronically too.
Well, and I'm good with the online stuff, but there's a lot of elderly people that don't even know what online is, so you still gotta take that
Well, I
into
mean, like,
consideration.
checking them through with their ticket. Isn't that what we was talking about, Janine? And then we know exactly how much we have and exactly where we are.
But, you know.
And you're not worried so much
But I still
about,
think the selling
running
it to
out.
the banks was a great idea, but it just takes somebody that's some legwork to put out there and find out how many tickets they sold, and you kind of know what you got. So you don't have to go into panic mode. And then I just have one other item. Before we have Labor Day, somebody needs to go, whoever our risk management person is, take a walk around there. There's some missing asphalt between the curb and gutter and the roadway, like where that carnival sets up, and that probably needs to be repaired before, they're quite deep.
I'll grab Kent and walk around with him. We've been working on another one this week that was.
Well, I'm just worried about, like I said, where the carnival sets up, and there's so many people there, but it's right in the toe of the gutter, where it meets the road on the north side, is what I've seen, but
Right
I don't
where
think
that
it'd be a
hand
bad idea if we walk all the way
Where
around.
the hand washing station was, or off, yeah.
Yep, right there. That's all. Thank you.
Mayor, can I say one more thing before you say your thing?
Mm-mm.
Would that be, no?
no, go ahead.
No, I just want to make a comment. I think we have a great venue for the salmon supper. And my wife was kind enough to bring me home salmon, and so I got to eat the dinner, but it's not like sitting in the park and eating that salmon at the salmon supper, and I think we have a great venue, and I think we need to congratulate our employees and all the volunteers for all the hard work that they put into this, because it's a great event, as Ben said.
Oh, and that's true. I mean, if you look, we had the parks and all of them there from early that morning, even the night before, so, yeah, the whole week. And then they was still there today cleaning up, so. And I thought it was pretty good. We got all the chairs and tables, and they was taking roll call of the football team and stuff, and then it don't. So, couldn't have worked out any better.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyways, I do appreciate everybody doing it, coming and supporting it, and everybody that helped put it on. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll close the staff reports and, yeah. And we'll go to the scout attendance, and I'll turn that over to Joanne. You signed it, I believe, didn't you?
I got a long one. Okay, Jeremiah, come on up here. You did a fabulous job on the pledge. Thanks for coming. Now, shake all the hands.
Thanks for coming. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that you're able to amend the agenda as you see fit.
Okay, we got a motion, and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. With that in mind, we will go down to E on the resolutions, and we will do we'll do Janine first on the events, parade, and special events regulations. I think she probably wants to get out of here.
If I might, as she comes up, I prepared an enacting ordinance that my fault, did not get sent out. It's just boilerplate to enact the title into our city code, should you choose to do that. So this is a copy of that. So you have it. And one other thing, as you look through the ordinance, it is patterned after Spanish Forks, except for just a few changes as to a time or something like that. It is almost word for word.
Okay, Janine, we'll turn it over to you, and you only have 3 minutes to begin with, so Mark, you've got that.
Oh, okay, Mayor and Council.
Go ahead.
All right. So, Mark, of course, all this language I don't understand too much, so he's very kind. So I'm just gonna tell you what. Anyway, so Some of my thoughts last year as we were doing Onion Days, and I was listening to people's comments and stuff. So that church that is just west of the park, so a lot of people park over there, and then they want to just jog across the road and go right to the park. But people, days before, have already put all their chairs there and tied them with ropes. So it's dangerous, very dangerous for people to try to either leap over those ropes, or they feel like they then have to walk clear around to the ends of the park. And I just didn't think that was, so I've just been thinking about that, you know, since last year. And so I visited Spanish Forks celebration, also Provo celebration. And so I took pictures of these signs that they had, and it mentioned that, you know, just because of safety reasons, we're not going to have any chairs or roping or any kind of saving until a certain amount of time, a certain period of time. And I thought that was a great idea, specifically for that area. Because even when I have my vendors coming in, there's already, those ropes and chairs are already there. So here they're trying to bring in their stuff, and they can't. I mean, last year I just went and tied everything. I mean, because I needed people, I needed traffic, you know, to go through there. So I appreciated Mark. I took a couple of photos, and he looked into the correct language on how we can word that to make an ordinance for us. And I think it will be a safety. I think it's good for safety as we're coming in. And it was after the band performs Sunday night at 9 o'clock. I thought then 9 o'clock p.m. that night you can put up your chairs. So that was my thoughts. What do you guys?
What was that again?
9 o'clock after the band concert, you can put your chairs up. Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. However, I'm wondering if we're not creating a bigger problem for the city, because one, we've got to get that word out to everybody, and everyone's not going to get it, so the people who put the chairs out are still going to put them out.
Right.
And does it become an enforcement issue for us that we really can't enforce?
And I think Chief and I were talking that this first year may just be a slowly work into it, you know, just to, but I don't, yeah, that's exactly, you're not sure whose chair this belongs to. So I talked to Denise from Payson Chronicles, so we're going to do a big article on it. She's going to interview me on Monday, so we're going to talk about it then, and kind of my concerns and things, and then I think Sarah will post this, if I believe that's correct, to the newspaper, this first newspaper. But I thought if I am interviewed and talk about it, it's more on a personal level instead of having it just like this, and my concerns and stuff, and hopefully that will help. But I think it will take a while, don't you think, Chief?
Where's the problem area is that? Is it the whole trade route or just
No,
the road?
no, just the park, Memorial Park.
And that's all this would affect was that area?
You know,
or?
we have it set up in case we run across any issues, other issues that Spanish Fork has run into, that we might run into later, and then we're kind of set. But for right now, personally, I just would like to post signs just at the park. Everywhere else to me is fine. They can put up chairs a week before. Not a week before, a couple of days. I'm not concerned really about anywhere else. My concern is just strictly just the park.
Let me answer your question as far as the way it's written for the entire parade route or an entire event, depending on what might occur. And that, again, was mirroring Spanish Forks. They have different types of events, and some that turn corners and go around parks and stuff. But it's broader than just Memorial Park, and the traffic that goes forward is hindered from going across there.
Mayor? I think that the Chronicle article is a good idea, but it's really not enough. We're going to have
I think we're going to have to, if we're going to do this, we've got to get the word out.
Right. And I was thinking too, if I post I plan on making big signs that has the ordinance number and explains what time they can put their chairs there. I should have brought a copy of their example. Anyway, it just says what day they can actually, and what time the chairs can be put there. And if we just put them across there, when people go to put their chair there, then they can read the sign. So it'll be interesting kind of to see what happens.
Yeah, so what are we going to do if they ignore the the signs.
We're gonna bring them to your house.
Oh, thank you.
I needed some help in my hand. People or the chairs?
Both, probably.
You know, we always like that, putting it on mic, you know?
There you go. Well, or we could do a little reminder on their chair, just say, just remember, this is a new ordinance, and I don't know, maybe just.
There's gotta be a phase-in period, because
Yeah,
we're gonna try
there
to
really
start
is
in mornings.
these,
Right, that makes sense.
Signs.
Right.
We need to
As
start
staff, we
very
discussed that
far.
even up to a full year period of time, because Scottish Special Festivals just happened, they aren't all from here, they come in.
Right,
They won't be exposed to any publicity, if you will,
right.
on this ordinance until their event. So, our discussion and my recommendation is that it is an education period for that first year at least to put out and post signs and things like that, but not take action as far as,
Customers,
you know.
if you don't wanna do that. They'll take one.
It's a good idea. I don't think it's gonna work. And one of the, I mean, we have bandstands down there, so.
We do, and this again, mirrors Spanish Forks, but they have similar, and we do make the allowance for the event director of the event, and our event director, and I think city officials to allow for unique situations. I mean, like the tour of Utah, there was a whole stage and things like that.
The good thing about it is Linda and Brian and others can take all the complaints about it. We don't have to take those complaints.
You're gonna have fun the next few months, are you?
Can't even keep the dogs out of the park, and you got signs.
Yeah, I mean, I get the spirit of it, and I get what you're trying to do, believe me, and I mean, honestly, I've always thought it was kind of, I mean, to put your chairs up that soon, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that more aren't stolen and that kind of, I mean,
Right.
I guess they aren't, or else people would quit doing it, but, I'd rather have more time on this than 2 weeks, because I just don't think there's enough time to get the notice out anyway, really effectively, and start on it, you know, at the beginning of all of the seasons, and let people know kind of next year, and let people know when the band concerts and all of that.
Okay,
I don't know.
that's a good idea.
I mean, so still kind of doing your thing, but,
Right, right.
but like you were talking about this year being an educational
Right.
time, that maybe we don't even
Do the sign.
pass it quite yet. Yeah, maybe we don't even do anything yet
Okay,
until we've had a chance to really,
right,
I mean, I'm just afraid 2 weeks is just not very much
right.
time for
Yeah.
because people get, you know, so if you're looking at 2 weeks from now-ish, I mean, people are getting their chairs cleaned right now. Right, they're taking them out and they're getting them cleaned. And they're gonna get them set up and they're gonna get the map out of when they're getting the ropes, whether they're gonna do caution tape or rope or whatever, it's a big choice. So, anyway, I just am worried that 2 weeks is not, that'd be my own.
I don't think it's a problem that we keep it safe. I think
Right,
you
yeah,
keep
no.
your crosswalks and everything else open and just
But
don't-
you know what, I think we have ordinances that address safety
Yeah.
already. And so if someone does something that's unsafe, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I think if someone does something that would be, sorry, if someone does something that would be unsafe for the public, we already have ordinances, laws, whatever, that would address that.
Maybe it's dark on the sidewalk or something.
Right, yeah, yeah. So maybe this year we kind of look at it that way and then we kind of ease into it. I mean, I know it's a problem, but it's also gonna be a problem of enforcement too. I've talked to people over in Provo and they go down the streets, they throw the chairs in the back of a pickup and then they take them to some place and then people can go and duke it out of which chair is which. And, you know, hopefully you don't all have white chairs that look exactly the same, but anyway.
Okay, so we just gonna table that, or we gonna, or do you wanna,
I'd like to make motion to table that till after Labor Day.
okay, got a motion to table it?
Do you want a specific day or a specific meeting we're gonna take it up, or just say after Labor Day?
sometime in the month of September
Okay.
or October, one of the two.
Just a question, I can draft another paragraph in there that phases it in over a year. If you want me to attempt something like that, so that it doesn't cause enforcement issues throughout that first year that phases it in. If that covers your concerns, I do that for the next time we see it on the agenda.
I mean, I think eventually people will get used to that time period. I know there is some time probably to move into it, but, I mean, me paying attention to that when people are trying to go across there, I personally think it would be wise to do that.
I see
motion as it is.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you have a second? Okay. I think that it's a good idea to have it in place. Mark, I really don't see that it's necessary to put you to the extra effort to write in any language that phases it in. I think that we establish it and let the public learn as time goes by that that's the law and that's what we're going to do.
Have the announcers, let the parade say next year.
Yeah, we can start announcing it
Pretty much the
and
same
whatnot
people
this
at
year,
the
but.
band concerts, whatever, but I think I'm with you, in 2 weeks is too soon.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any other discussion? Do we need a roll call? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next thing on the agenda is we'll go to the agreement between Cricket Communications and Payson City.
Mayor and Council, the Cricket Corporation has been bought out by AT&T. And so across the country, there are several communication towers that are going to be decommissioned. They contacted us and asked if we would be willing to just let the equipment stay there instead of having them come and having to tear down all the equipment. The tower is ours. The equipment is up to state of the art at this point, but when I contacted them, I thought they were going to say, well, we'll let you have the equipment if you'll pay us this amount of money, but they said they would pay us $14,000 just so that they would not have to come and tear everything down.
So make it 19.
Yeah. I thought that was a good idea. We are reaching out to other communication towers to see if that equipment could be used with their business.
I would like to make one recommendation, maybe look at it for our own cell service.
Exactly. The tower is ours, we can put some of our own equipment on there. And so we'll look at that. We can also see if we can market it to other people. And it's actually turned out to be a great deal for us because Cricket prepaid us for the first 15 years. What they did, they paid the money to put all of the lights up for the soccer fields. And so they only were in business 8 years. So we ended up doing pretty well. And I think if it becomes that we can't use that equipment, we'll just take it down ourselves. But so they sent an agreement out that we're willing to accept that equipment. And that's what we have before you.
But I really would, I'd like to expand on that and get the Sprint, see if there's a way you can make our city employees' service better.
Yeah.
Because it's not that great.
Unless there's any question, if you adopt the resolution, we'll have the mayor sign that agreement.
We adopt a resolution for the Cricket Communication and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we'll go back up to the public hearing regarding the some taxation, and I will turn that over to Sarah.
Mayor, you want to have a motion to open the public hearing? And she'll give a little presentation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're now into public hearing. We'll turn it over to Sarah for a minute before we turn it into the audience.
Can you see that okay, or do you want me to turn off the lights? Okay. So we were talking about a truth in taxation. As you know, in June, we did present the budget balanced, but council did approve a truth in taxation. So we're gonna go over just a little history. I called the county offices and talked to Bert Harvey and asked if he could tell me the last time we had increased property taxes. The furthest back he can go is to 1989. He said anything past that would be comparing apples to horses. I included his quote in there so you can understand why we can't go back any further. But he said we had not raised property taxes through a truth in taxation, as he could see. We did raise property taxes in 2010, but there was a law passed by the legislature to take your average with some kind of formula. I'm not certain on the formula, but everybody had the opportunity to do that without doing a truth in taxation. So we did increase it in 2010 for that without a truth in taxation. And when he told me we had an increase, the first thing that came to mind was our purchasing power and how much it diminishes when, you know, if you look at the price of gas back in the 80s, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than it is today. And since we've kept our rates the same, or pretty close to the same, we lose that purchasing power. So we're trying to do more with less. That's just the thought that occurred to me. You guys may have different opinions, but that's what I thought of. And I just want citizens to know that we are very sensitive to their situations. We know that there's many who lives on fixed income or limited income, but we also have been tasked to provide services, parks, streets, to the citizens to give them that quality of life that they expect with little amounts of money that are coming in. So this is an overview of property tax. Property tax can be convoluted. Sometimes they don't understand that property tax is broken up into different entities. The majority of it does go to the school district. As you can see on that pie graph, 76.8% goes to the school district, and only 10.1% comes to Payson City. And you can see the dollar amounts over there. So out of the $23.91.60, only $2.40 comes to Payson City. So that's just an overview so you can see where your property taxes come from. And I did it based on the different rates, and you can see that it doesn't change much. So here's a better summary for you that shows if you don't adopt the truth in taxation, do you have a question?
This is based on a residential, not a commercial, right?
It's just based on a taxable value of $200,000 because there is a break for a residential, right? But if you take the taxable value, so this isn't the appraised value, this is the taxable value. Yeah, so the taxable value of $200,000, this is what it would look like. So the top row, this is what the county's certified tax rate is. If we don't do anything. Let's see, sorry. And so the citizens would pay $240.80. That would be the city's portion. I know, Scott, you mentioned that you would like to keep the tax rate as it was last year. And that would be 0.001268. It would raise it to $253.60, which is $12.80 annual increase or $1.07 monthly increase. And if we approve what we have proposed to the county, it would be a $15.20 annual increase. Any questions on that?
Well, I think a clarification, and maybe I'm wrong, but the county proposed rate shows a decrease. It's really not a decrease because our actual rate was last year's rate. It would be a decrease if we don't adopt last year's rate, and that's because, as we discussed earlier, when property values go up, the county rate goes down, which then affects us.
Right.
So it's not like we're increasing over what it would have been.
Right.
We're losing because they they
Right.
value the property, the valuation.
Exactly, yes. Any other comments, questions on that? Okay, so there was a report in the Daily Herald. There was a study done by, the name just left me, the name just left me. Anyways, they did a study based on the 50 largest cities in Utah, and there was 13 Utah county cities in this study. And what this shows is if somebody owns earns $1,000, of that $1,000, how much goes towards taxes? And Payson is 33 out of those 50 cities, and it's $20.76. But we are
33 low.
We are 33 low, yes. So we're on the lower end of the 50 largest cities, but of the Utah county cities that were included in this study, we are second lowest. So I know there's some cities in there, I know you asked about some cities, but they weren't included in their study. So I don't have that information for you.
That's fine.
But any questions on that?
I would just point out too that even if we adopt the increase, we're still 33.
Yeah,
We
because then
don't jump it.
yeah, no, you won't change. And there's a link on the bottom of this slide, and it will take you right to that story that's on the Herald. So if you want to look that up yourself and read the story, you know, that's available. Many people have called and asked what this truth in taxation, why we're doing it. And I didn't know how to answer it. There's so many options as to why we need this. Payson desperately needs some money to come in to fund some projects that keeps being taken out of the budget. In this budget, the fiscal year 16, we did not put any vehicles to be purchased besides the scraper for solid waste. I won't go through the list. You can read that. Do you have any questions based on that list? No? Okay. I'm sorry, it's a little, it's hard to get it all fitted on one screen. So this is my budget summary. I've been told in the past that it's too complicated, it's too hard to understand where we are overall. So this is our citywide budget. It lists our general fund, our enterprise funds, our special service funds, everything's here. Let's see if I can make this zoom in. It's not gonna let me zoom in. But you can see down at the bottom, we have a surplus of $622,000. So we did balance the budget without the truth in taxation. If you look at prior years, we're doing pretty good. So you can see the first column, that's the prior year actual, and we brought in $120,000 excess. So that is citywide, that's just not general fund. So I would like to see that number increase just so we can save, add to our fund balances, and start saving for projects, capital improvements, which we don't do very many of those. Any questions on that budget? We adopted this back in May, so I'm just going to briefly go over it since nothing's really changed. There has been a few things that changed. Our first county allotment came in, and it was $10,000 lower than what we projected, so we reduced that $10,000. Our city utility accounts, when it was adopted last year, it was our first year, so we didn't have any history to go off of. But I looked at our actuals and I adjusted those to reflect the actuals. If you've got a question?
I'd just like to say anybody from the public's welcome to ask questions anytime they
If you have a comment, just raise your hand.
Yeah, public hearing, so anybody can say anything.
And we'll turn it over to them here in a minute.
Well, I mean, it's just so they,
Yeah.
if we're on the screen, they want a question, at least.
Yeah.
So,
And then when we adopted the sewer rate, I was not aware that you didn't want the new portion transferred over, so I took that part out. So we did not make a transfer of that new portion of revenue that was adopted. Does that make sense?
No, that didn't make sense.
That didn't make sense. So you know how we did the $15 rate increase in the sewer
Right.
fund?
And
That
a certain
new
amount of
revenue,
That's gonna go into a fund.
right, but
That, you cannot,
300,000, wasn't it?
yes, so that new revenue, we did not, sewer transfers 6.2% over to the general fund. And we did not include that number in that calculation. So that new revenue is not touched, it's left in that sewer fund. and anything left over, so at the end of the year next year, if whatever's left over, we need to put into that savings account for that new upgrade.
My understanding, because I think the debates were really way out in left field on a few of them, but a certain portion of that money is being put aside for the new
Absolutely.
sewer plant that will not be touched.
Absolutely.
And I
Not
think
sewer
there's-
plant, sewer
Or
upgrade.
sewer upgrade, whatever we do.
Yeah, whichever.
But whatever we opt out in, but I think there's a very,
Yes, it's
It's
earmarked for
misleading.
that, yes. And you'll see in here, I have it earmarked for that.
everybody
Um,
thought we were spending the whole thing. No, we didn't.
So in here, you'll see right there, safer plant upgrade. We have 300,000 that is to be set aside, and we desperately need that cash. So when we have to go for bonding, we have days cash on hand, which we had none. When we met with Zions, he said that was our biggest issue, biggest red flag.
Will you say that again? Just
Yes.
to underline it.
When we met with Zions, he printed out a whole bunch of ratios. When they look at, a specific fund, they don't look at citywide. It has to be just the sewer fund. We can't look at electric, we can't look at water. It's specifically sewer. We haven't had any cash in sewer in the last 10 years. Jolynn was there when we met with Jonathan. Do you remember that meeting? And he showed us the days cash on hand. It was 0 for the past 10 years. We have been negative cash.
We had the same issue with the water when we done the tanks.
You have, okay, so you've been there, done that, been down the same road. So we need to build up our cash reserves so we can have our cash on hand, so we can go out for bonding. Did you have a comment, Mike?
No,
Okay.
you're right on the money.
Okay, and then, these are just our capital projects that we have. These are the only ones that are in the budget. We've got most of them in sewer, thanks, to our $15 rate increase. We are doing some projects. The Ridge Lane desperately needed to be done. That was one of our biggest causes of sewer backups, which cost the city a lot of money in claims and all sorts of things. So that's in there. There's some rotors. I'm not sure what those are. I just know Jeff told me he needs to replace rotors. That is in there, and then Main Street and 4th North, and then to save for the upgrade. And anything left over, we will put towards that plant upgrade, because we want to make sure we don't have to bond. We want to reduce that as much as possible. That's my biggest goal here. And then we have the 780 West project. The CDBG portion, we did get a grant for that amount. But everything else, it's coming out of storm and the Class C funds. Any other questions on that? And that's it.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anybody would like, they can come up. We'll give you the 3 minutes, and we'll go from there.
Mayor, while Don's coming up, this was received from the city and they want it read into the minutes. So I'll just read it. It says, Mayor and Council, I'm opposed to the mill levy tax increase. The high increase on utility rate increases is a tax increase. To increase the property tax mill levy on top of the utility rates is wrong. Just because you can increase the tax doesn't make it right. Tighten your belts. Sign Bertus Bills.
Okay.
Don Hildy, Maples. This proposed rate increase, does 100% of that stay in the city coffers, or is that divided up amongst all of those divisions we saw up there?
10%.
Only 10%?
No, this entire increase comes to the city.
Yeah, we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we're talking about coming through the city.
What is the total amount?
Oh,
We have that figure, 57,000, what is it?
We can't raise it for the others.
No.
So what's your question?
Back up more.
Okay.
There, stop there.
So, hey,
Proposed rate, how much of this tax rate is gonna go to county, the schools, city to water and assessment? Or do we keep 100%?
no,
We
because
keep
we
on
can't
it.
we don't have the authority to raise taxes on other agencies.
So we will keep.
This is just the city portion.
We can't
So
sit,
if we raise it $12 or whatever it is, that
A
$12
year.
stays, yeah,
That
stays
$12
in the
stays in
city
Payson.
coffers.
Right.
Okay, good. That makes me happy.
but that's a good question.
question though, because that is,
Well, a couple of things come to mind, and this is probably not the place for it, but I'll raise it so we can have it raised somewhere along the line, but I think there's a heck of a lot of money going to schools, and I really question that.
So do
I'll
we.
second that.
Okay, so is this something that we have to take up?
We
Where?
can't do anything about the.
You have to go, if you wanna deal with
State?
that, I think you have to go to the state,
It's a state?
or the school
It
board.
don't matter, they can just pull off a special election in June and they'll get it to pass anyway.
sometimes they don't pass.
Not very often.
Well,
Not very,
I'd like
I
to
did
see that,
say
Rachel.
that a lot.
Let me,
I said
let me
sometimes.
ask the question another way then. What if we decreased our tax rate by 50% and pulled it out another way? Well, that's-
One of
that's what
the
we're here for.
disadvantages for
What do
you is that
what do
you don't deduct it on your income tax.
I don't care about deducting any income
Well, and
tax.
the bad thing is, your religious organizations and schools don't pay taxes, so, I mean,
I mean, how do other cities,
But we're not-
counties,
but all we're trying to
states?
do is keep the rate the same, we're not actually, I guess you are actually increasing it, but it's not a tax
Well,
increase.
my point is, when I lived up in Woodland Hills, rather than raising the taxes, we instituted a fee, and that fee stayed 100% within Woodland Hills. It did not go anywhere other than Woodland Hills. And it made a big difference as to what we were able to do. with
Well,
that
all of
budget.
this will all stay in Payson.
This will stay. Now I'm wanting to eat away at the rest of that. And say, if we can't lower that because the state controls or the school board controls it, well, do we not control how much money that we raise or don't raise our tax rate by? And if we lower that tax rate, that percentage donation to the other entities also lowers. Am I missing that?
Can you explain that, Sarah?
You're missing that.
I'm missing
Yeah, each of those entities have an evening like tonight
Okay.
where they discuss their proposed rate increase for their government entity.
Okay. So it's not based on what we're doing right now?
No, and we get
Well, what
taxed
are
on
we-
Eagle School District rate, Provo gets Provo's, north of that's Alpine, so it's depending on the entity that's taxing is the
Okay,
rate.
so
that's
we don't control any of that?
No.
So there's no sense
We
in
control
looking at that,
10%
then, is there? Okay.
The only reason I put that up there is
Does it
because,
confuse me?
yeah.
You did it.
People see that bottom line and say 2,400 and they hear, 5% increase and they think it's that 2,400. It's not, we're just doing that city portion. And that's all we can affect. We can't touch anything else. But the reason I put that up there is because when you get your
That's what
bill,
I'm paying.
it's not $200, it's $2,400. So I want people to understand, we're only looking at that 10.6% of the pie. That's all we can touch.
Okay.
So anything we increase, it stays here. It doesn't go to any of those. This is just strictly city.
All right, I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
I'm not happy about the rest of that pie.
yeah.
When and where can the public see this presentation or the budget? Unless I've overlooked something, I can't find it anywhere on the website. Do I have to come in and ask somebody for a copy of the budget and stuff?
No, the budget's.
Better be online.
I'll have it posted tonight. I was still making changes, waiting for things.
I was having
Is your
coffee.
question on the previous meetings that we had, or?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, it's on-
unfortunately.
Have you got it?
I wasn't sick like you were, but I had a lousy excuse.
Yeah, there is a website, Utah.
Public meeting notice website.
You can go there and download every document that we see.
I've been there, so I will go
And-
back on the Carter then.
On our Payson City website, we also have links that will take you directly to those handouts.
I'm just a geezer, so I guess I can't figure
If
this
you
out.
come to my office, I will be glad to help you
I will-
or print you out whatever you need.
I will come to your office to get led
Yes,
properly then. Make sure
anytime. The
this
door's
is,
always open.
This is it.
Okay.
All right, good, thank you.
Okay, so while you're up, Don, what would you propose we use the money for? Public safety or on that other
The
list?
$12 and whatever?
Oh, but what's the rate, what's our total amount, Sarah, that we're gonna
Right
get?
there.
She's got a lot of
It's
commas
right
and
there.
zeros here.
Either 40, 47, 48.7 or 57.
Depending what you adopt.
Yeah.
And here's our list of projects.
The total is going to be how much per year?
58,000.
Between 47 and 58,000.
Okay, $55,000. And you want me to tell you where to use that?
I just want, I would like to
I'll
suggest.
tell you where I would like you to use it. I'll be glad to.
Out
I
of
would
those
like you to
things.
see to build up these funds that we haven't been building up, so that we have money stashed away, just like you're doing the thing with equipment and having that savings account and buying money out of that account. I'd love to see you get a couple more policemen here with motorcycles.
So
I mean, everybody needs something, and I understand.
I was gonna bring up that, we actually have, the chief told us that they have one officer, what is it, from 1 to 6 in the morning, or from 1 to 5?
Don't say that publicly, Scott, we don't need that to get out.
Well, I know that
Well,
she's very
that's our
diligent.
issue. That's why we're top 10.
Yeah.
10 in the top 10 of the
It's pretty much
FBI.
shorthanded on, in the middle of the night.
Well, I know that she's very diligent in handing out green papers and hanging them on people's doorsteps without watering, so she's not asleep, and I think that's a good point. I don't know. I might like to see some staff get the raises that were talked about also.
Don, I know part of what the council's banning about is the police or petite need in having, we desperately need to get the petite need sprinkling system done to the point where we can cut down on water usage, and that's what they're doing.
That would really be nice. But I mean, all of that would really be nice. Boilers go out in city offices, what do you, anybody care about having the city employees with boilers?
I just say coats are cheap.
Well, I mean, what do you want to do with sprinkler system? Maybe we can get some volunteers to going on that. I mean, I'll help you design it.
No, I just asking for what your thoughts were.
My thoughts are that all of those are good things, and that's why I told you many times ago that sitting in those uncomfortable chairs is a lot easier than sitting in those comfortable chairs.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys get the big buck, lady, get the big bucks.
Yeah.
And I can get to sit there and convention it, but, I would like to see how we could use some of this money to get, it's not nearly enough for what the chief wants to do, and I assume that's what you would like to do too. But how could we use some of that to salt a way to start some kind of outreach to the schools and the community and try to pull in some fund money to match it or something? I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out to do. But I'm still reading a book that taken how to do it, so I'm not as smart as I need to be.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Do we have anybody else? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close?
I'll make the motion to close public.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Do we have any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now out of public hearing. Do we have any other discussion on this?
I'm just,
So,
Or a motion?
I just, a little confused on the proposed, the 47 and the 57. What is, explain to me how that works a little bit more, would you?
Okay, yes, let me get to it. So that 48,000, that's if you adopt where we were last year. So that's the last year's rate.
Okay, and I got that part, but what's the next one for? How does that work?
If you
raise what?
If you adopt the .001280, so instead of approving
And where
last
does
year's,
where does that number come from, the 1280?
that's when we do our certified tax rate with the county. They send us their formula in end of June. It's more like end of June. And it shows how much revenue we are proposed to get based on assessed values and the tax rate that they have in their system already. And that's why it's reduced. So when we did our budget originally, we were like $150,000 short. So when we got those numbers back, I had put in that we needed, $150,000 more, but because it came in $90,000 more, I needed $57,000. So I can put in that formula, I need this much money, and then it calculates that rate for me. And because I had to go and look at the budget that we adopted, that we approved back in May, and I have to use that income that we adopted to calculate that rate, and the county does that for us.
so,
But that's our cap, we can't go any higher than that.
Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
based on a taxable value of $200,000.
Yes,
Last year, Payson City residents were taxed at $253.60. That's what we paid last year, according to your,
if the values would have been at that same rate,
yeah, so
then yes,
$253.60.
right.
The proposed rate that we're going to, that will take us up to $256, or $15.20 a month, is an actual increase to each taxpayer at $200,000 worth of valuation of $2.40 a year.
Yes, if you look at it that way, Yeah.
Year, yeah.
yes, a year, that's annual.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, but we've got the annual increase of $12.80.
No, that's
Yeah,
if
that's
we
the
have to
confusing
fall
part.
back to the other, that's what we paid last year. That's really not an increase, because that was, if you notice, that's last year's rate.
Right.
So we're already at that level. So if we bump it to the next one, we're increasing $2.40 a year per $200,000 valuation.
The reason it's confusing is because the county adjusts their rate. So they've dropped our rate from last year's rate, 0.001268, to now 0.0012.
In my opinion, the smart thing would do is to do this every year, so you know.
But that was the whole purpose of the idea from the first, is that if you put this truth in taxation and keep it working with the
values of the home.
with the value of the home,
Right.
then we don't come back, like has happened to a number of counties, that we don't come back and suddenly, after 10 years and nothing has been done, we say, oh, we're not raising it this much, we're raising it this much. The
Right.
whole idea was for this to keep
Steady.
with the standard of living,
Mhm.
you know, just to keep it even. That's what we've always tried to, or what our intent was in doing this.
Right.
A little at a time, you know, just a little off the tail at
Yes.
a time.
Okay, so
Can we go back to that last screen, that showed them two rates?
Oh, maybe down at the bottom where it shows the values,
Right here.
Yeah.
that right there?
1, 2, 8, 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, do we have any other discussion or a motion?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Well, I have a discussion thing just real quick. I mean, I think we need to definitely keep up with our tax. Sorry,
Thank you.
I got your motion. I think we need to keep up with the tax rates, but I feel a little uncomfortable with how much we've already increased, even though it wasn't taxes, it was a utility rate. And I don't know how anybody else would feel about it, but I guess what if we reduce the sewer rate to a $12 increase and then still did this, and it would be about sixes? You don't like that?
The problem is if you do that, you don't have those rates earmarked for sewer. That means that you're reducing the amount that goes into sewer. So
Right.
the amount of savings that you're building up is gonna be reduced because you're reducing that rate. I mean, you can do whatever you guys
So then in 5
feel.
years, when we go to get a bond, then we'll have the money saved up, and then we get hit, and everybody gets hit hard. So
Right.
then, instead of saying, okay, we got the money saved up, then all of a sudden we say, well, we're gonna put another $30 a month on your bill, because interest and everything went up, so. Know what I mean?
We're hoping to earn a
That's the
little
way
bit
I
of
look at
interest
it.
off of our savings. You know, I know interest rates are 0.5%. They're pretty low.
They're gonna start rising.
But yeah, we need to prepare now. We don't want to play defense. We want to start playing offense is how I feel about this. So I wouldn't recommend
And
that.
that was the
but-
whole reasoning I thought on the $15 to begin with.
Mhm.
That's the way
prepared for the motion, I'd like to make a motion.
I think Larry's on.
Oh,
Larry
sorry.
said he was gonna make the motion.
I'm gonna spare you, Scott.
Well,
I'm gonna spare
I'm
you.
on the chopping block next, so.
I would move that we increase the tax rate to the city proposed rate of .001280 for the year 2016, 2015, 2016 budget. And as a note to the motion, I would like to point out that at a $200,000 valuation, that is an increase of $2.40 per year per taxpayer.
Are you gonna, do you have any, where are you gonna wanna spend this, or does that need to be in the motion or not, Dave?
It doesn't need to be. If you want to,
I'd second that motion.
Okay. Does that need to be in the motion that it be signed or anything? Or a
If you
resolution
will-
number or anything?
If you'll reference the adoption of the ordinance, I had three prepared, not knowing what tax rate, so I got it.
It's the
here.
last one, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they all are the same number, but we're only adopting one. You just read
Referencing
the
ordinance number 08-12-215,
Yeah.
an ordinance setting the real personal property tax levy for municipal purposes and adopting a budget for Payson City Corporation for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2015, ending July, in the amount of, what's that number?
That's our total revenue for the
that's the
city.
total budget.
Once we've adopted it.
Yeah.
$37,896,046.99.
And just.
What more do you want me to read? Or Mark?
Do the whole thing.
That was your motion.
Well, I did that,
Yes.
I put that in there already.
So we've got the reference.
Okay. So we got a motion. I think, did we get the motion clarified over there? Trista?
Yes, I'm not going to type all what he read, but I will put in what he read.
Okay, so we are good on the
Please.
motion. So, is there a second? Kim seconds it. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Larry?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right,
I would like to, just as a side note, hopefully we'll look at public safety and.
I'd really like to see another officer.
Or some kind of a community involvement for, I don't know what you call them people. If we don't have the money for the officers, getting the community involved in night patrol scenario, I don't know what the.
Air program order was called.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Well, I'm just making a recommendation, like what they, the city of Mesquite, I talked to you about how that worked down there for.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is, we have a motion to adjourn to the out of council and the redevelopment.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now into the redevelopment agency. We need a motion to open a public hearing. Got a motion on a public hearing, second.
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now into a public hearing in the redevelopment agency on the 2015-2016 fiscal year budget adoption. I will turn that over to Sarah. Is that Sarah or you?
It's me.
Oh, okay.
Trying to find the budget.
Mayor, while she's pulling that up, just, with that increase, we're gonna have to do a budget amendment when we get in the near future, when we get all the invoices and close out the budget. So you'll have an ability to determine where you'd like to appropriate that money. So you'll have discussion on that.
Sarah?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be nitpicky, but would you mind making that tab bigger?
You bet.
I will admit that I can't read that, but even with my glasses, it's hard. Okay, that's great.
So this is, we have that agreement with, goodness, my mind has left me. I've had 2 long days with Walgreens, where we give them back a portion of the sales tax that we receive. So we just have to appropriate money to give them the money that we receive each month. We send them a check. So this is just the budget for that. I don't know if you have any questions regarding that.
Okay, any question?
How much longer do we have this?
We went over that.
I know you mentioned it, but I don't.
I should have had that ready to go, I'm sorry.
With Walgreens, it's either till they hit a certain dollar amount,
Oh.
which they're quite a ways away from that, or I think it's 20 years.
Oh, was it
Yeah.
20
So-
years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're gonna reach,
I don't think they ever will.
I don't think they're gonna reach the number, so we still have a few years, but if they reach that number, then it'll end. Or if 20 years, if they haven't reached that number, it will
Is this
end.
like the fifth payment right there somewhere? Yeah.
Probably, they've been,
So close to that.
might be able to find the agreement for you to look at. The other RDAs and EDAs, they've terminated, and so that's why the budget's limited. We are looking at creating another CDA. The council adopted a resolution to start that process, but we're, you know, it depends on what we can get. If like this site visit, if they're interested in coming and they, you know, whatever we can do to help them come, it's 123 jobs, but we might be able to use that CDA to help entice them to come. So we'll bring more information as we get further down the line on that.
I have that spreadsheet here somewhere and I think I must have moved it.
That's okay, Sarah.
Okay. I'll send that to you. I will find that tonight and, or tomorrow and I'll send that to you tomorrow.
It's not critical.
So I guess we need a motion to
I'll make a
approve that
motion
budget.
to approve.
Question before you,
It's public hearing first, maybe I'll
Yeah.
speak on that.
did you adjourn into the RDA?
Yes, we did.
I was.
So we are now, we went into the RDA, we had our we opened up the public hearing. So we went over that, now we need, if there's anybody in the audience who would like to come up and comment,
We covered everything you require of us, Mark.
we're on top of it, man,
You are.
somewhat. Okay, seeing none,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay, we got a motion to close public hearing, we got a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve the RDA expenditure to the Walgreens.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Do we need a number or something on it? Or what are you
Do
looking
you have a
at?
paper I can make off of?
That's appropriate, but the next, you do have to adopt the budget as the RDA for 15-16 as reflected in the ordinance that was just passed by City Council.
Okay, do you want to put that in?
Yeah, that's what he said, Sarah. For Tristan.
Thank you.
So Tristan, have you got that down? Okay, do you want to read off your motion so that they know?
Okay, motion by Councilmember Phillips to approve the RDA expenditure and the 2015-2016 budget for the RDA.
Okay, do we need any more on that?
That's sufficient.
As reflected in the budget adopted by City Council just a moment ago. And that's ordinance number 812-2015.
Okay, is that good with you, Scott? On
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay, now do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Scott? Aye. Kim? Aye.
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 All right,
I think you have to vote here.
aye. So, okay. Passes unanimously.
Make the motion
All right.
to convene back to city council.
Okay, we have a motion to go out of redevelopment back into city council. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn out of city council and go into closed session?
I'll make that motion. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, do you want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will reconvene in 5 minutes for closed session.